The MTR rockets noiselessly towards Hawaii. Along the edge of Kowloon Bay, black water glitters in the night with the light of 1,000 reflected storefronts. Gaishu stares sightlessly out the window, one hand pressed to the glass. The Wumpo elders are dead. They forced your hand and paid the price for it. Their story was cleverly crafted lie, meant to put the ghoul to death for their greed. But was the trade you made worth it? Uncertainty of their choices is as clouded as the sky above you. Yeah. I didn't expect the one gunfight I had in that area to be shooting down the people who've hired me. Jesus. Yeah, that was awkward. Oh, my guy's leveled. No, just Gaishu. Rip does additional 2 damage, 2 bleeding damage for 2 rounds, costs 1 AP. Nice. I'm gonna go with Rip. Okay, I wonder what this is gonna say. Let me go turn in the mission. Let's go talk to the Russian. Rector. It's oppressively hot down here, and the air is full of synthetic odors that grab you by the sinuses and refuse to let go. You can smell engine grease and melting plastic, ionized air, and lead solder. A quick scan of the room tells you why. The downstairs tenant has converted the space into a machine shop. Metal fabrication tools and Duraplast extruders line the walls. Extruders line the walls. God damn it. Oh! Sorry, it just annoys me. It should say, and Duraplast extruders line the wall. I guess you could say line the walls. It just sounds awkward. Where was I after complaining about punctuation? There we go. And a pair of heavy industrial manipulators hanging from the ceiling. A man in black trench coat stands with his back to you, staring at a monitor mounted above a sturdy workbench. He addresses you without turning. Okay, his voice is pleasant. I can't do fucking pleasant, cultured. A hint of Russian accent there, and buried in layers of nuance. Yeah, you're making this difficult, man. I cannot do that. Let me just, you know what? I'm gonna do a Bill Shatner. I was wondering when I'd meet the neighbor. My Bill Shatner's pretty terrible too. Most of my impressions are pretty terrible. Please stay where you are. I'll be with you in just a moment. And unless you fancy an unplanned trip to Chrome Alley, don't touch anything. There are all manner of tools in here that could take your hand clean off. Let me get my Elvis back. My terrible Elvis impression. Oh, take your time. I won't be touching anything. That probably didn't sound like it at all. Ah, you're very kind. Thank you. Let's examine the robot arms. You focus on the enormous manipulator arms that you saw earlier. They're bulky, industrial things, dented from years of heavy use. Each arm has been fitted with at least a dozen different welders, soldering guns, extruders, and metal fabrication tools. You've seen machinery like this in factories before, but they look terribly out of place in the bolt holes cramped engine room. Yes. Oh, I forgot the very good. Very good. Yes, that's coming along nicely. Very nicely, indeed. He turns towards you, smiling, and for the first time you can see his face. He has broadly handsome Slavic features and a chiseled jaw. His eyes are like flecks of ice. So sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Gremlin. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. You're too kind. Now, tell me, what can I do for you? His voice trails off as a flash of motion catches his eye. With alarming speed, a sinister-looking drone scuttles out from under the work table. Its movements are surprisingly agile and fluid. The machine rears back menacingly, spreading its forelegs in a clear sign of aggression. Man's smile tilts. His tone goes apologetic. Please don't mind the drone. He can be territorial, but so long as you remain civil, he will not bite. He extends a hand. Simultaneously, the drone relaxes into a neutral position, lowering its killing legs. Raptor, my mechanical counterpart here, is called Koschei. I guess that's Koschei. A pleasure. His hand is rough and abnormally warm to the touch. He shakes your hand with a solid grip. I am very pleased to meet you, my friend. In a community such as Hoi, it's important to be on good terms with one's neighbors. Agreed. Speaking of which, I'd like to ask you some questions if you have the time. Not much better. He glances at the bracer on his forearm. A technical display winks to life, then gutters out. Very well. This morning's casting should still be cooling for a few minutes yet. That's time enough to talk. You've got some interesting machine in here. Not kind of you see typically outside of corporate settings. He smiles. Oh, I'm doing his voice. He smiles. The same could be said of many in Hoi, I'm sure. This is a smuggler's den, is it not? Our entire economy is based on people having things that they shouldn't. Is there a particular device that interests you? Out of curiosity. I'm mostly interested in that drone you have there. Koschei, but my friend, you are wrong. You'll never find its like in any corporate factory or lab. He is mine, my own creation, from the top of his sensor cluster to the tips of his claws. I designed him, fabricated his components, and built him by hand. Impressive. He shrugs. No more so than anyone else who follows his passions and perfects his craft. When you said this morning's casting, what did you mean? Exactly what I said. A casting that I made of new locomotive assembly for Koschei. He gestures at a display above the work table. A biomimetic design, as you can see here. This one is inspired by the walking legs of a decapod crustacean. Mangrove crab, to be specific. You're designing drone parts in here? He nods. And fabricating them. Yes. Wouldn't it be simpler to just outsource the fabrication? Simpler, yes, but not better. Here I have ultimate control over the entire process, from start to finish. And I have the skills to make good use of that control. Good drone architecture was once my profession. I don't know what happened to me just there. Drone architecture was once my profession, you see. Now that I have freed myself from the shackles of corporate servitude, I see little reason to rely on outsiders for much of anything. Are you Russian? I thought I caught a hint of an accent there. He nods. You have a good ear. I'm impressed. Yes, I grew up in... Oh my god, Nizhny Novgorod. I can say Novgorod, but Nizhny, the H in... That just bothers me. Went to school there and started my career there in the industrial sector. A fairly common story, I'm sure. But I have also traveled a great deal, and in so doing, I have absorbed a number of other languages and dialects. How many languages do you speak? Counting Russian and Cantonese? 15. He shrugs apologetically. That's a lot. Apologetically. It shames me to admit that I am only literate in 12, however. That's still impressive. Perhaps when compared to the common man, but I've known a great many polyglots who can and do put me to shame. He gives you another half shrug, and Koschei mirrors the gesture. Arabic has been a particular bugbear of mine. The unfamiliar characters and lack of vowels make it damn tricky to get a handle on. But I suppose that all men have their limits. Koschei is an interesting name for a drone. Yes, I suppose that it is. Not many riggers would name their most prized possession after a villain from a fairy tale. A nod to my heritage, I suppose. What was the fairy tale about? A thoroughly unpleasant person Koschei the Deathless. He was called, and for a good reason. His soul was cleverly hidden outside of his body, and he could not be killed so long as it remained intact. Koschei was a villain, and a notorious kidnapper of women, but something about him always struck with me. I suppose that it was the notion of immortality through cleverness that resonated. It's really weird talking like this. Anyways, back to the dialogue. There was something to be learned from that, and I was sure. Oh, whoops. I cut the "and" over. Oh well. And so when it came to name my beloved creation, his was the first name that came to mind. Is your drone deathless like its namesake? In a matter of speaking, I suppose that he is. I have redundant copies of every piece of his architecture, and his core program is stored on disk in a secret location. Should he ever suffer critical damage, I can easily bring him back. I had a plan once to automate the self-repair process. I must confess, it was really quite ingenious. But alas, my research was lost. One day I will reclaim it, and Koschei will become as deathless as the stories claim. But it will not be today. Keeping all this machinery running can't be cheap. How can you afford it? I'm lost my accent, damn it. Freelance at the risk of sounding immodest. I've commodified myself rather well. There are always corporations in need of design consultations. You'd be surprised by how lucrative such work can be. And there is always other work that I can turn to in a pinch. Who said you used to work for a corp? Whose payroll were you on? He sighs. That is something of a sore subject. My departure was involuntary, you see. I did not part ways with my employer under the best of terms. I will tell you that I worked for Grishin Avacor. But you'll forgive me if I don't want to go into detail. I have no fucking clue what that company is. You said that you did other work besides consulting. Care to tell me what kind? He pauses, and for a second, something flashes in his eyes. Koschei lowers its body into a crouch. A rather personal question, wouldn't you say? Maybe, but we're having a personal conversation. Indeed we are, but even in personal conversations, certain topics can be held off limits. Truth be told, I don't feel especially comfortable discussing my side work with relative strangers. Suffice it to say that my freelance activities often fall on the illicit end of the spectrum. Tell you what, I'm just gonna guess. You're a Shadowrunner, aren't you? He gives you a shallow nod. I dislike the term, but yes, I run the shadows. What gave me away? Design consultants live in apartments in Victoria Harbor. You're living in a rusted out boat in Hawaii. There's gotta be a reason for that. He shrugs. You are correct, of course. The residents of shadow communities are usually either too poor to live elsewhere or engage in behaviors too illicit to risk it. I will admit to being in the latter camp. Design robotics is my passion, but it doesn't always pay the bills. He runs a hand over Koschei's armored chassis, caressing the sculpted metal with his fingertips. My status as a foreigner has proven something of an impediment in this regard. And so, sorry as I may be to say it, the lion's share of my income flows from Koschei's F24 butchery. Such is life, I suppose. We do what we must to do what we love. Seems like everybody on this boat runs shadows. Why not pool our resources and work together? He purses his lips, considering a compelling offer. I'm doing quite well on my own, but I must admit that there are certain jobs for which I am unsuited. Magic eludes me, and I am no Decker. My strength comes from material objects in the real world, solid things with mass and heft, things that I can build and operate. Sadly, a great many clients are only interested in teams that display a mastery over the intangible. A group of yours, do you have people who can cover those bases? If so, then perhaps we can help each other. Yeah, we have a shaman and a Decker, both competent at their jobs. In that case, I will accept your offer on a provisional basis. We'll do a few runs together and see how we get on. If our association bears fruit, it will continue. If not, I will bid you my farewell and go back to working alone. How does that sound? Welcome aboard. Very good. Excellent. When you receive a job, you know where to find me. My skills and resources are at your disposal. And with that, I'm afraid I must bid you good day. I still have work to do down here. This leg assembly won't clean itself. I'll be in touch. Looking forward to working with you. And I with you. Cool. I got a samurai and a rigger, and I'm a decker. Did I go over the BBS last? Oh dear. We got to claim payment. Let's see how much we got. 270, and not too bad. Okay. Search BBS for relevant keywords. Please shoot out in Victoria Harbor. From Wharfrat. I know a lot of you are interested in that 50k the HKPF is promising in connection with the terrorist cell they're hunting. So I've been digging around for some better information. Think I've got some stuff of value. Turns out they had a handler here in Hong Kong, by the name of Raymond Black. The HKPF tried to take him into custody the day before, but were forced to kill him in a shootout. Looks like Black and the terrorists are members of the White Star Group out of Henan from Wharfrat. Oh, 2056. So, Wuxing's actually not a big company, and that's the mission we're going to be doing next. Isn't White Star all about restoring Imperial China? One of those terrorists they killed was obviously North American. Why would she be helping a pro-imperialist group from Brother Six? You got money, you can buy any kind of person you need. You're on Shadowlands, oh my. You should know that from Feng Huang. So, what do we know about Black and his band of thugs? Anything we can use to track them down? Dongzhang? The data I've been able to dig up says that Black was from Henan and is distantly related to the royal family. He spent a couple of decades in Seattle making connections in the shadows in preparation for attack on the Free Enterprise Zone. I've attached some dossiers on his remaining agents from Rolling Thunder. You sift through a long stream of data detailing who you and Duncan are. While the general details about your name and life are correct, many of the small details are wildly inaccurate. You're listed as having lived in Laos for the past 4 years, while Duncan is noted as having spent most of his life in prison. We move on to peruse Gobbett and Isabel's ostensible biographies. The dossier lists Gobbett's real name as Yushun Guai, and her place of birth is Jian Shengzi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I probably did not. According to the content, she is 23 years old and served with the Baihu corporate military until conviction for insubordination led to her dishonorable discharge. While you can't be certain Gobbett doesn't speak Mandarin, the idea of her being in the military, any military, is downright laughable. Isabel is listed as Fatima Abukar. Apparently, Isabel was educated at an early age in terrorism and piracy by the revolutionaries of the Ethio-Malian territories. I guess that's around Ethiopia and Mali. As wanted in connection with the bombing 2052 bomb attack. Okay, bombing 2052 bomb attack. Let's just say there's one in connection with the 2052 bomb attack on the French embassy in Johannesburg. Given that you know that Isabel grew up here in Hong Kong, this information appears as laughably inaccurate as your own dossier. Another poetry bash. This time it's called Posy Bash. Okay, Posy Bash. Alright, folks, we're trying it again, this time under a super secret code name. There's no telling how long this will last, so let the bashing begin. I'm not going to say the posters' names. You can see it right there. Super secret code name. They just ran the words poetry slam through a thesaurus. Poetry, people, not complaints. A thief on the run. A silencer in the dark. The rat shaman lurks. Got one for the coyote shamans, too. An unbound trickster. This shaman fears no peril. Wily coyote. On roll, Jivey. Here's another one if Mad can stand it. Pulses of light. Glance off bright chrome. Translucent spheres encase my treasure. Mirrors and tubes and neon implode. Another day in the Matrix. Hey, I can do traditional. I would prefer haiku because less typing. Gossamer tresses. Infinity in your gaze. Very pointy ears. Extra points for using gossamer correctly in a sentence. I like elves. Jivebird's still the master of the haiku. In fact, Oh, graveyard creeper. Ashen skin, spindly fingers, and claws. Freak me out. Alright, Shakespeare's is strike two. Stride is getting locked, and you aren't doing this again, got me? Board is for Deckers who want to talk shop. There are plenty of other forms you can use for your stupid amateur poetry. I suggest that you go find one. Haha. Busted! Top shelf sublet available immediately. Like title says, good location, cheap rent, serious offers only, please. What do you mean by top shelf? As in fancy corp condo? How do you manage that? Nah, man, it's literally the top shelf of the converted maintenance closet I live in. That's amusing. You're joking. No joke, it's cheap and location's good. Right near Temple Street Night Market. The Temple Street Night Market. And it has super fast access, just in case you need to get in and out of the Matrix quick. I'm not the sort to ask questions. There's just about enough space to stretch out your legs lying down, and there's a ceiling hook for your gear. What do you say? I don't know. I need a place, but still. A shelf in a shared closet? Screw that. I've got a sweet pad to rent that you can have all to yourself. It's not Victoria Peak or anything, but it's a bargain. Where's it at? Kowloon Walled City. It's one of the new construction units on the outer edge. I'll throw in a second ceiling hook. Deal? Okay, message me and we'll work out the nitty-gritty. Seriously, the Walled City isn't that bad. My apartment is huge. It even has windows. I beat Harbor Rat's rent, in fact. Just tell me what you want to pay. Hello? No more posts. Looking for Decker. Looking for an experienced Decker for a discreet milk run on a supply house for purveyors of recreational substances. Potential for longer-term arrangement. Nice. We're a team that's been together for years, running your basic heists and occasional transport gig. We've got a reliable fixer and a long list of happy clients. Requirement: you must have a good sense of humor. Hey, are you willing to give a newbie a shot? I've been in and out of the Matrix since I was in school. Raised some creds doing odd jobs, so I've got a hot new cyber deck that I'm itching to try on a real run. I don't know, man. You'd really like to find a long-term Decker, and you kinda don't know your shit. You just said so yourself. Sorry. Oh, come on, man. You said it was a milk run. How else would a Shadowrunner start if not with an easy gig? I'm being upfront with you. Doesn't that count for something? Fine. I got a test for you. You hack this guy, Captain Scone, and change his password to erotic massage. I'm on it. Thanks. Done, man, or what? Say yes, say yes. What the fuck? Captain Scone. Amazoom, may I introduce you to our rigger, Captain Scone. You'll make a fine addition to our team. Thank you. You won't regret this. You gotta stop getting people to hack me, gimme, or you'll be looking for a new rigger next. Ah, you know that you love me. That's amusing. Okay. So, what are we doing next? We're gonna break into Wuxing Sky Tower and wreck up the place. Let me get all jolly for this one. We're gonna break in at night and wreck up the place. Okay, no. I also need to buy some equipment because I don't think I have a lot of programs. Screw this talking. Let's do mission. I don't know, this one might end up getting to a firefight or something. Finally, maybe. I guess we'll find out. Overhead. Yeah. I think we've been through all this once before, so I'm just going to skip through it really fast. Oh, still the Simpsons chip. Made 120 on it, not too bad. Show me what you got. Racco Craft works definitely better. Boost, that's nice. Decrypt, okay. Suppression. Blaster's one of my favorites. Firewall Killer. Shield, slow. Maybe, well, I don't use all these, so let's see. Ditch that one. Need to come up with. Need to drop a few more things. I love Blaster. That's nice. Nah. There we go. So, oh, I need more. Boost. Boost expensive. But I'd like suppression, so let's see what we got. If we do assassin, attacker, exploder, shield. I'll pick up an assassin. Why not? There's all our money. And gone. But I got me a sweet new deck. Confirm. See you later, buddy. And we have no money. I bought a suit deck. Let's roll out. Okay, whooshing sky tower. Here we come. Let's go to the whooshing sky tower. Wreck up the place. Wreck up the place. Oh. Ooh. Let's try out Gaishu. Raptor. And we probably just need the shaman, so there we go. Interesting. Let's do this thing. Oh, what about my inventory? Okay. Travel. Here we go. Let's see what it says.